Hi there, James Rowe here, presenter of the Which Cars podcast. Join me and the Which Cars team as we cover the biggest motoring stories, including our exclusive research into car reliability.
When 5 to 9-year-old cars break down, they spend on average 4 days off the road. New to 4-year-old cars spend 4.8 days off the road. Now that might not seem like much in the general scheme of things, but that's a 20% difference. And that could be the difference, for example, if you break down on a Monday afternoon between getting your car back for the weekend or having to wait into the next week to having it repaired.
Should you buy a used car rather than a new one?
Unless you're desperate to get a car in exactly the colour or specification you want, there are plenty of low mileage used cars on the market with significant discounts on their new price. And if they're from a brand, say like Toyota or MG, which offer long warranties, then it can actually be quite a good option buying used because you'll still have that manufacturer cover behind you.
And why are car headlights so bright nowadays?
Car manufacturers want to make life easier for the driver, so they add these LED or laser headlights that illuminate the road ahead like never before, which is great if you're driving a car. Not so great if you're on the receiving end coming the other way.
To listen to the full podcast, head to which.co.uk/cars podcast. You have to be a Which member to listen, but you can get a membership for 50% off the usual price. All the details are on that page, which.co.uk/cars podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Which Money Shorts podcast. I'm Lucia Ariano, host of the Which Money podcast, here to bring you a taste of some of the best money advice taken straight from the Which Money magazine. It's been 10 years since new rules revolutionised how we access our pension savings. So this week we're having a look at the impact of these rules and the options available to us at retirement. This article was originally written by Paul Davies. New rules introduced in 2015 fundamentally changed the way many of us get our hands on our retirement savings. Before then, most people used the money in their pension pot to buy an annuity, which pays a guaranteed income for the rest of your life. The idea behind the freedom and choice rules was to give savers more flexibility and control over how they funded their retirement. You can still buy an annuity if you want, but it's no longer the default option. However, greater control has led to greater complexity. Unless you employ a financial advisor, the responsibility for deciding what to do with your money rests firmly on your shoulders, as does making sure you don't run out of it. Worryingly, the industry itself doesn't seem to be doing enough to make life simpler for savers. Some $52 billion was withdrawn from pensions last year, but our research shows that retirees are often still having to jump through hoops to access their money. So what are your options for retirement? Well, the Pension Freedoms applies to defined contribution pensions, where the final value of your pot depends on how much has been paid in and how the investments have performed. This differs from a defined benefit pension, which pays a guaranteed income in retirement based on your salary. Around 3/4 of UK pension holders now have at least one defined contribution pension. From the age of 55, you can take up to 25% of your defined contribution pot as a tax-free lump sum. You can take the rest as cash too, either in one go or in smaller chunks, known as uncrystallised funds pension lump sums, or UFPLS. You also have the choice to use some or all of the money in your pot to buy an annuity or leave it invested and withdraw money as you need it, which is known as pension drawdown. These options aren't mutually exclusive. You can mix and match however suits you. The latest figures from the Financial Conduct Authority, or FCA, show that between 2023 and 2024, 53% of pension plans were fully encashed, 32% were used for drawdown, 9% were converted into an annuity, and 6% were used for UFPLS withdrawals. The main concern when freedoms were introduced was that they would lead to reckless spending. But there's no real evidence this has happened. While the number of people cashing in their pots in full has more than doubled since 2015, most are relatively small, around £12,500 on average between 2023 and 2024. What was meant as a giant leap for pension savers in 2015 has arguably led to some feeling left behind. Faced with a complex decision, people tend to go for the easy option, which might not necessarily be the best one. 4 in 10 retirees who buy an annuity stick with their existing pension provider. Those entering drawdown are even more likely, 66%, to accept whatever their current pension provider is offering. In both cases, shopping around could save you thousands of pounds throughout your retirement. Unlike an annuity, which is a one-off purchase, pension drawdown involves ongoing monitoring. You will need to keep a close eye on your investments and decide how much income to take each year. Yet of the almost 280,000 pensions converted into drawdown between 2023 and 2024, only 31% of pension plans accessed for the first time were done so with regulated financial advice. Cost is clearly a barrier. Unbiased, the Advisor Directory estimates that at retirement advice on a pension pot worth £250,000 would incur a fee of £3,000 on average. Consolidating pots worth around £500,000 would cost around £5,000. If you do opt to pay for financial advice, comparison sites such as Unbiased and Vouch4 can help you shop around for quotes from advisors, but make sure they're regulated and properly qualified. The FCA wants to ensure that help is more easily available to savers deciding how to access their pension, which it describes as one of the most important financial decisions they will ever make. According to its research, 75% of consumers over the age of 45 don't have a clear plan for how to take money from their pension or didn't know they had to make a choice. In December 2024, the regulator set out proposals for free targeted support about pensions as part of its simplified advice proposals. Rather than providing detailed, personalised recommendations, firms would make suggestions for groups of consumers who share similar characteristics. In the meantime, if financial advice is out of reach for you, remember that if you're 50 or over and have a defined contribution pension, you can get free guidance from PensionWise, the government-backed service run by Money Helper. Unlike advice, this offers general rather than personalised information and consists of hour-long face-to-face telephone or online appointments. While taking advice can help you make decisions about how and when to access your pension, unfortunately it doesn't guarantee that the process will go smoothly. Around a quarter of the retirees we surveyed in 2024 recently said they found accessing their pensions stressful. Many commented that they'd received little support from their pension schemes, with some encountering problems as a result of delays, poor communication and administrative errors. Simon Evans, a Which member from Cumbria, ran into problems when trying to convert two of his pensions into annuities in 2023. His application, made via his financial advisor for an annuity with Canada Life using his pension savings with Aegon, was delayed because of the high volumes of customer inquiries that Aegon was receiving. Aegon also miscalculated the value of Simon's pension. The situation was only resolved 3 months later after Simon escalated his complaint to the Financial Ombudsman Service, or FOS. Simon had a similar experience trying to buy an annuity from Hub, using his pension with Prudential. The transfer value Prudential had given to Hub was £1,500 lower than the value shown when Simon initiated his application. Again, he had to take his complaint to the Ombudsman, which prompted Prudential to re-examine the case and correct the transfer value. Aegon and Prudential both apologised and offered compensation. He told us, "I worked for a pension firm for over 30 years and know more about the subject than most. With firms making errors, I knew to go to the FOS. I'm not sure the average person would." Accessing your money at retirement might involve a transfer to a new pension provider, for example if you want to go into drawdown, but this option isn't available with your existing provider. Your existing firm must move your pension within 6 months of the start of the transfer. Part of the reason for the process to take some time is justifiable, to make sure the money isn't diverted into the hands of scammers. Firms ultimately need to strike a balance between speed and safety and adhere to the Department for Work and Pensions rules on pension transfers. However, the experiences shared by Which members in our survey suggest that delays are more likely to be caused by ineffective processes rather than fraud-related precautions. Carl Booth, a Which member from Leeds, told us he had a mixed experience accessing the 8 pensions he held with 6 different firms. He faced a substantial delay as one company lost his application form in a drawer. The explanation he was given when he complained was that they hadn't fully automated the transfer system. The process still feels as if it's in its infancy, says Simon Bond, another member from Suffolk. He said he was tortured by the experience of trying to access his 2 pensions. If you have reason to complain about your pension, you should first take up the issue with the company itself, which will have up to 8 weeks to respond. If the company doesn't reply or you're not happy with its final response, you can then escalate your complaint. The FOS investigates complaints about pension companies that are regulated by the FCA. The FOS says that for most pension complaints, it takes 1 to 2 months for it to allocate cases. For complaints about companies that aren't regulated by the FCA, you can escalate these to the Pensions Ombudsman. Thank you to Paul Davies for that original article from the January edition of the Which Money magazine. If you want to subscribe and get the magazine delivered directly to your door, click the link in the description of today's show. For even more expert money advice, subscribe to our free newsletter and don't forget to tune in to our weekly money podcast with new episodes every Friday. This episode was produced and edited by Romana Yassin. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Next time you need to get work done on your home, or your car, or your garden, make sure you choose a trader you can trust. And don't just choose any trader, choose a Which trusted trader. Our trading standards professionals only endorse traders who've passed our rigorous assessment that includes credit reports, customer satisfaction surveys, reference checks, and interviews. When we say a trader's good enough to display our Which trusted trader logo, you can trust us. But don't take our word for it. Search Which Trusted Traders online to see our directory of around 4,000 traders. Every customer review you read there is verified genuine by our moderators, so you can choose with confidence. To find a local trader you can trust, search Which Trusted Traders or go to which.co.uk/traders. That's which.co.uk/traders. Everybody needs a trader they can trust.